Hey guys, it's Chris von Lindenberg. I'm coming to you. My team tasked me with sharing some thoughts, insights, and ideas on how to plan ahead. It's the end of year 2022. The new year 2023 is going to be your and our best year ever. And the way that we're going to do that is that we're going to plan with intention on how to make it a great year. So here are some tips and ideas, some things that my team had asked me to share with you as you plan ahead. First of all, let's put ourselves in the right mental state. Our sphere of influences in our lives helps us identify what we think is even possible, what we think might be achievable. So if we are exposed to people doing big things, if we level up our friendships and our relationships, if we're exposed to people accomplishing great things, then we think that great things are able to be accomplished as well for ourselves. If on the other hand, our sphere of influence is limiting or constricting us, as long as we're happy, hey, that's a-okay. But sometimes our sphere of influence limits what we think is possible, what we think is achievable, right? And so our sphere of influence has a lot to do with what we think is possible. And I would encourage you to give that some serious thought and think about the relationships, the people you surround yourself with. If they're not growing the way that you want to be growing, think about that and get yourself the right tribe, the right group of people around you. And think about what are some of the things they're doing? What are some of the big, most bold ideas, things that they're accomplishing that you admire, that one day you'd love to see yourself achieve as well? Get those thoughts out and get them on the scratch pad somewhere. You got to just think big. So next tip and tool I'm going to give you is when we use a couple different things. I'm huge on planning. You know this. It's what I do. All right. So one of the things I use is an annual calendar. You know, as I'm sitting here at my desk, I've got a 12-month wall calendar that's dry erase. I've got it sitting right here next to me. On the other side of me, I got my dream board over here on the wall, right? The big picture dream things that I'm working towards long-term. But those things aren't possible. I got to have a starting point. Before I go write it up on the wall, I start with a single sheet of paper, just download an annual calendar out of the internet, just whatever. You pick one that works for you. I like a single page. I sit down with a single page. I block off the dates that are holidays. I block off the dates in the kids' school schedule. I block off, dates that I know that the market's closed, that our office will be closed. I mark all that stuff out first, just so I know what the blocks of time are, that if there are big things we want to achieve for the year that might require a little bit of travel or, a destination type thing, we're going to get in a car. I want to have those things already mapped out on paper to know where we're starting from. If there are professional conferences that I need to attend, or schooling, whatever, coaching programs, I want to get that stuff on the calendar first and map out the blocks of time. Next thing I do is I'll use a 90-day single page calendar. So there are 90-day calendars you find online as well. I like a 90-day calendar because it allows me to focus on the next 90 days, what I need to do to help for the rest of the year to come true. So I like looking at it annually, but then I like digging into a 90-day sort of a visual roadmap as well. Now, another thing that I do every single year that I really love, and some of you've already been exposed to this, it's our vision timeline tool. I'm going to walk through this in an example, but basically you can take a blank sheet of paper as a timeline and you can map out what you want your life to look like. And the way that you start this with a blank sheet of paper is on one side of the sheet. I like a landscape view. On one side of the sheet, you put your current age of your spouse, children, immediate family members, parents. You get the ages down on the sheet of paper off to the margin. And the thing about that is going to serve as the framework for this sheet of paper for this timeline. Because the timeline, you're going to have years and ages in here. Your timeline, you need to know what the milestone ages are, milestone events, the stuff you can plan around, the logical stuff, high school graduation, Sweet 16, college graduation, right? When are they going to go into masters? When are we going to, hit our full retirement age for Social Security, right? When are we going to be facing mandatory retirement from our employer? Or when are we eligible for retirement if it's sooner? What are the life events? What are the milestone anniversaries, right? What are the milestone birthdays? Mom and dad, when's dad going to turn 80? I got to put that on the calendar. When are mom and dad going to celebrate a 50th? Gee, I ought to put that on there. But timeframes of life are important. So you take this timeline and you start mapping out everything that you can think of logically, the big ticket milestone events. You start there. Next thing you do is you get a little selfish with your personal vision. Your personal vision, what you do is you put down the things. If I said, what's a trip of a lifetime you might want to take? Whatever the thought is that comes to mind, is say, where does it best fit on the timeline? For example, you say, gee, I want to go and I want to live. I like the idea, just a thought. Live in Hawaii for a month. Get Airbnb, travel the islands, whatever. Live there for a month, but I want to do it with the kids. Well, there's a time and a place that makes that appropriate, right? The kids have to be the right age to appreciate it, I would hope. The kids also need to be at an age where we still have influence as parents over their time, their schedule. And we can plan around the school schedules, plan around college, but once they get into their career, once they have their own families, their own spouses and significant others, it makes it a lot more challenging. So there's times where certain things will fit, times where they won't. Relocation, well, there's a time where it fits and there's a time that it won't. If that's in your plan to relocate, maybe not during school age years. And then you got to think about, well, if I relocate and I've got aging parents, what does that mean for them, right? What does that mean if we have grandbabies? Are we going to be too far away to travel back and see them? So you get selfish with your personal vision. You get selfish with trips of a lifetime. If you said, hey, I want to hike, Appalachian Trail, there's a time where you're going to be healthy enough in your life and hopefully physically fit to be able to do that type of activity. And there's a time, late stages, where you won't. When you do your timeline, I would really urge you to focus on the next 20 years, maybe 30, and definitely not less than 10. Even if you're 60 years old, I still want you to do a 20-year vision set. The thought is put everything that's milestone in the next 20 years, minimal, in the calendar, put it on the timeline. You got to plan around the milestone stuff. You got to plan with the milestone stuff. It's important. All right. So when you're done with the personal stuff, you're going to go in and you're going to do the professional vision and purpose. You say, what does that mean? Well, for those of us that are still engaged professionally, whether we're consulting, whether we're still actively employed, whether we're on the job, whatever the case may be, if we're still engaged professionally, there are going to be maybe some career aspirations you have, some goals that you have, some milestone events. I want to retire when this happens. I have to retire by this age. Social Security is going to kick in. I want to do that, but I want to do some mentoring, some coaching. And then maybe when that's done, and later in life, maybe I want to do some volunteering when it's convenient for me, when I feel like I'm having a good day, I feel healthy, I want to get out and do something, socialize at the senior center, or, making breakfast or whatever the case may be at a soup kitchen. You get the idea. But the timeline has been a really helpful exercise. And I know it can be emotional. Some folks have shared so much wonderful feedback. They've had so many amazing observations and gotten so much more clarity. Maybe I don't want to take a promotion because that's going to limit my ability to do other things with my loved ones. I mean, that type of stuff can be very apparent. Anyway, so I like the vision timeline tool. So I gave you the calendar, gave you the vision timeline tool, urge you to think big with your sphere of influence, leveling up some of your relationships. That's a great starting point. What do you do with this information? Well, once you have it, and once you've sort of mapped out a vision timeline, if you want the tool, email us, get up with us. We will get you a copy of it as a template. We have it. Once you have that, what I would suggest is that we sit down, we look at your financial plan, your resources, your assets. We look at your financial strategy and make sure that it's all in alignment. We want to make sure that you have the best shot of living your best life, right? YOLO, you only live once. Anyhow, thank you for tuning in. I truly wish you and your loved ones very happy holidays, a safe and happy new year. We look forward to seeing you in 2023. Look forward to you creating 2023 as your very best year, not another year where a New Year's resolution has come and gone, but one where you focus intently on some big picture stuff and make meaningful progress. We look forward to seeing you. Please be safe, be healthy.